Alien Princess was abandoned until the human dog saved her. The stars glittered like scattered diamonds across the void, but the Princess Lysera, they felt colder than ice. Her jewel gown had been torn, her royal diadem cracked and dangling from her brow. Once she had been surrounded by attendants, her name sung in reverence through the halls of the Ethrin court. Now she stood alone on the barren plains of Aerith, 9, the exile world where her enemies had cast her, a wasteland where even the wind seemed to whisper scorn. The betrayal had come swift. Her uncle, Lord Vale, had staged his coup during the Festival of Dawns, slaughtering her loyal guards and scattering what remained of her household. Her starship had been disabled mid-flight, forcing it into a crash on this forgotten world. No one came searching. No one cared. She was 19 solar cycles old, the rightful heir to Ethrin's throne, and yet the galaxy had abandoned her. Her tears had dried days ago. Her throat was raw from calling out, but there was no one to hear. The planet was home only to scraggly plants, predatory beasts, and cruel silence. Lysera had once been raised never to touch dirt, her every need tended by servants. Now her royal hands were blistered from clawing into the ground for tubers to eat. On the 5th night, as the crimson moons rose, she collapsed against a jagged boulder. Hunger gnawed at her, thirst clawed her throat, and despair wrapped its arms tight around her chest. She thought she saw shadows circling, beasts drawn by weakness. Her eyelids fluttered shut, ready for the end. But instead of teeth tearing into her flesh, she felt warmth, hot breath, steady and close. Something nudged her shoulder, then licked her cheek with a rough, wet tongue. Startled, she opened her eyes and gasped. It was a dog, not one of the wolf-like predators of Aerith 9, but a genuine earth-bred canine, with golden fur, kind eyes, and a tail that wagged despite her sorry state. He was large, sturdy, with a leather collar still fastened around his neck. The name etched on the metal tag read, simply, Rex. Lysera blinked in disbelief. You're not supposed to be here, she whispered. Rex barked once, sharp and reassuring, then pressed his body against hers, sharing warmth. In that moment, something shifted in her heart. For the first time since her fall, she felt less alone. Part 1. Survival together. The days that followed blurred into a rhythm of survival. Rex seemed to know the planet better than she did. He led her to shallow streams where water flowed fresh. He sniffed out edible roots and berries, sometimes digging them free with his paws. When dangerous lizard beasts prowled too close, his growls warned her in time to climb rocks or hide. Lysera began to speak to him, at first out of loneliness, then out of habit. You are the last knight of Ethrin, sworn to protect me, she would declare, brushing the dust from his fur. Rex wagged his tail solemnly, as though acknowledging his royal duty. Nights were hardest. Cold winds swept the plains, and Lysera's thin gown offered no protection. She huddled against Rex, who curled around her like a living furnace. His steady heartbeat lulled her to sleep, when terror would have kept her awake. One night, she asked him quietly, "Did your human master abandon you too? Or did they die, leaving you alone like me?" Rex whined, as if remembering, then licked her hand. Lysera's heart clenched. Days turned into weeks. The princess who had once dined on starfruit and nectar wine now learned to roast roots over crude fires. Her once silken hair grew tangled, her delicate fingers calloused. She no longer looked the pampered heir of a galactic throne, but she was alive, and it was because of him. Part 2. Secrets Beneath the Sand. One dawn, while following Rex as he barked at the horizon, Lysera discovered something half buried beneath the sand. Metal, scorched, and ancient. Brushing away grit, she realized it was wreckage. A human escape pod. Inside were bones, long since stripped clean, and scraps of a pilot's uniform. Lysera shuddered. This had been Rex's master. Alone, abandoned, he had survived until finding her. Their fates had been bound by tragedy. But among the wreckage, she also found tools. An emergency beacon, its power crystal long drained, and a plasma cutter whose battery still held faint charge. For the first time, hope stirred in her. "We can call for help," she told Rex. "If I repair the beacon, someone might hear us." It became her mission. By day, she scavenged scraps of metal and wires from the pod. By night, she studied the beacon's circuitry by firelight. She was no engineer, but desperation sharpened her mind. Rex stayed close, guarding her as she worked. Weeks passed, but progress was slow. Worse, the predators of Aerith, 9 grew bolder, drawn by the smoke of her fires and the scent of food. One night, a pack of 6-limbed scavengers attacked. Rex hurled himself into them without hesitation, snarling and biting, holding them back until Lysera ignited her plasma cutter and drove the creatures away. When it was over, Rex lay bleeding from a deep gash across his flank. Lysera fell to her knees, pressing cloth to the wound, sobbing, "Don't you dare leave me. You're all I have, Rex. Please." He whined softly, licking her wrist even as his eyes dimmed with pain. Through sheer will and crude bandages, she nursed him through fever and weakness. For days she barely slept, whispering royal lullabies into his fur. Slowly he recovered. When at last he stood again, shaky but alive, Lysera embraced him with all her strength. "You're no dog," she said fiercely. "You're my knight, my guardian, my family." Part 3. The Signal. Months had passed when Lysra finally coaxed life into the beacon. A soft blue glow lit the device. Its hum like the beating of a distant heart. She laughed and cried at once, clutching Rex. We did it. Someone will come. But hope was dangerous. Days stretched with no answer, only silence. She kept the beacon lit anyway, praying. Then, one night, a shadow fell across the moons. A ship descended, sleek and predatory, bearing the crest of House Vale. Her usurping uncle. Lysra's blood froze. He had found her, not to save, but to finish what he had started. Soldiers disembarked, armored and armed. Lysra fled into the wastelands with Rex at her side, her heart pounding. The beacon signal had betrayed her, calling not allies but enemies. They hunted her for 2 days, driving her into canyons and across salt flats. Rex never left her side, warning her of ambushes, leading her to hiding places. But they were only 2 against an army. Eventually, the soldiers cornered her at the edge of a cliff, weapons raised. Princess Lysra, their commander, sneered. Your reign is over. By order of Lord Vale, your life ends here. Lysra stood tall despite her rags, chin lifted in defiance. You may kill me, she declared, but you will never take my spirit. Rex snarled at her side, teeth bared. The commander raised his blaster, and Rex lunged. He struck the man with all his strength, teeth sinking into armor joints. Blaster fire erupted, soldiers shouting, chaos exploding. Lysra grabbed the fallen plasma cutter and fought like a cornered lioness, slashing, striking, every movement driven by survival. But there were too many. A shot rang out, Rex yelped, collapsing. Lysra screamed, dropping beside him. His golden fur was matted with blood. No, 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 she sobbed, cradling his head. Stay with me, please. You can't leave me. His tail thumped weakly once against the ground. His eyes, though dim, held loyalty unbroken. And then, silence. Something in Lysra shattered. Rising, plasma cutter in hand, she fought with a fury that stunned even her enemies. But she was only one, and exhaustion dragged her down. At last, soldiers seized her arms, dragging her to her knees. The commander smirked. Pitiful. Even your mutt could not save you. A voice thundered from the skies. Stand down. A new ship roared overhead, emblazoned not with Vale's crest, but with the sigil of the Ethan resistance. Rebels loyal to her bloodline had come, drawn by the beacon she had built. They descended in force, blasting Vale's soldiers into retreat. Lysra collapsed as strong arms lifted her. The last thing she saw before darkness claimed her was Rex's still form, lying beneath the stars. Part 4, Legacy of the Night. When she awoke, she was aboard the resistance cruiser Valiant Dawn. Medics tended her wounds, and her people knelt, calling her Your Highness. Word spread quickly. The rightful princess had survived. The rebellion rallied behind her. But Lysra felt hollow. The throne, the crown, the songs of loyalty, none of it mattered. Not without Rex at her side. In the weeks that followed, as the resistance prepared to march against Lord Vale, Lysra insisted on one thing above all. In the gardens of the ship, beneath starlight, she buried Rex with her own hands. Upon his grave, she placed the cracked diadem she had worn when first exiled. You were more than a dog, she whispered, tears falling freely. You were my protector, my companion, my knight. I live because of you, and when I reclaim my throne, it will be in your name. From that day forward, she bore a new sigil, not the jewel phoenix of Ethrin, but the image of a loyal hound, teeth bared in defiance. Soldiers took up the banner with pride, calling themselves the Knights of Rex. Lysra grew into a queen not remembered for her crown or lineage, but for her compassion, her resilience, and the story of the dog who had saved her. Songs spread to the stars of the loyal guardian who had stood against an empire, a tale that would never be forgotten. And in quiet moments, when Lysra looked up at the glittering sky, she swore she could feel Rex's warmth beside her still, watching, guarding, until the end of time.